very few people are.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Paul is currently airborne on his way to Austin, Texas. So you get us to do this, to do Paul's mastermind today. So we wanted to get together and as you know, we're putting together this year's business planning seminars and all that good stuff. And we wanted to do things quite a bit different than what we've done in years past. So
It started, Paul wanted me to share this story again, even though I shared it in Synergy, so I'm gonna interrupt.
Fine.
It started with David and Amy and I meeting in secret to come up with a plan to present to Paul, and he really wanted me to share that again, because literally he was so tickled that we did that. We just feel like we talked to some of you, with the shifting market, we knew we needed to do something different for business planning this year. We knew you guys needed something different. And so we got together in secret. I think I shared the story in Synergy that he saw it on my calendar that we were meeting and he was freaking out.
well, he saw it on all of our calendars.
He was freaking out. Yes, he saw it on all our calendars. He was freaking out because he wanted to know why we would meet without him. It was it was really pretty funny, but, we sat down and I think just like in our different positions, David's versus mine versus Amy, we were able to kind of retrofit what we thought we've heard from you guys over the last year. And so this meeting today is really just getting more feedback. We have a very general outline of what we're gonna do for business planning, but we want your feedback. We want your input. We want to hear from you on what you guys want.
We really want this day to be productive for you.
Yeah.
To allow you guys to get the most out of business planning, because as you know, those of us that plan for the next year are the ones that succeed and have the most success. I know me personally in my business, I never did business planning until I came here. I came here and I quadrupled my business just because I had that plan laid out and I was actually able to follow it and execute it.
And you worked it.
Yep.
Yeah, and then for some of us who's maybe done a plan and never really stuck to it, or maybe never done a plan, it's never too late to start a business plan and to implement on it. And there's probably, there's really not going to be a better time to do that than it is right now with just the changing market that we have. So I think it's so important for everybody to do it and, really hone in on activities that you're going to do to hit your goals for next year.
Can I throw something into Lynn?
Yeah.
I can barely see past tomorrow kind of person. And to plan the whole year is so flippin' overwhelming to me. And I think, what if this happens? What if this happens? And the market's gonna change and blah, blah, blah. And it's okay first of all, it's so important to plan it, but then it's okay to tweak it as the year goes on.
Yes.
Instead of just saying, this is my goals and my plans and set in stone. It's extremely helpful and everyone should do it for sure.
It should be working.
Oh, yeah.
document, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
truly.
It should be a working
Maybe
document.
along those lines, totally same. We could have like quarterly
Yes.
check-in mastermind,
Yeah.
check-in on the goals, so then we can help each other tweak the plan that we
Right.
made.
Yes.
And I definitely like that idea. And I know we've done like semi-annual right now.
Mhm.
So bumping it up to quarterly I love that plan. I love the
like that
idea
too.
because I know for me too, it's like I lose sight of those goals. And it's like all of a sudden things change, things happen. I get busy doing this and it's like,
And if
where
it's in the calendar,
am I in comparison to my goals where I wanted to be today? So, Harry.
I feel too that, Paul is such a phenomenal numbers person.
Yes.
I'm not. And so when he comes up with all these number charts, I'm like, oh, I'll see you later. And I know a lot of us are, we all learn differently in registers. I feel like the business planning should be so focused on the tasks. We always, it's good to have the number, whether it be transactions or volume. But ultimately, chunking it down, it's about the daily and weekly tasks. And to me, so much of that should be where the focus on business planning should be, is what are you gonna do?
that's probably one of the biggest changes that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was, if we're being really honest, it was the thing that we knew we had to broach carefully with
Yes.
Paul, because he's very proud of his numbers, but I would say 90% of people can't resonate with that.
Yeah.
And that's why, and I think you heard us say in Synergy, we are still gonna offer that deep dive into the numbers one-on-one with Paul
After the fact.
after business planning, but we know, we've paid attention, we see that most people, is it good to have some numbers and have an idea of where your business came from and move that way? Yes, we're still gonna focus on numbers for a part of the business planning, but most of it's gonna be what you just said.
Yeah.
So which actually leads to my first question. What are some of the subjects and tasks that you guys would like us to include in this?
I think it'd be great to have kind of a year at a glance, you know, kind of like have your events figured out, your all subject to change, of course, your, you know, the CRM, how you're gonna communicate, laid out at least roughly, you know, I know Jackie's phenomenal at that.
And then
I'm
the,
not, I kind of fly by the seat of my pants, and
Yeah,
I
and
don't
then
wanna do that.
the details maybe quarterly.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
you can focus on it, because like even going back to the numbers, that gets discouraging to me. I'm a numbers person too, but if I say I'm gonna do 5 of this and I don't do it, it's like, I look at it and say I failed. So I'd rather have more of the tasks. What tasks do I need to do to get to that 5? And then if you get to the 5, great. If not, then you just change your tasks to try to get to that next level.
I'm glad you spoke up, because if I look in this room, I know you're one of the numbers people,
Mhm.
so it's, you know, it's kind of making sure that we help everyone, so, yeah.
I think
that'd
those
be good.
pillars are good, you know, where. You know, there's like the 4 pillars of where are you're gonna build your tasks.
Where did your business come
Where did
last
your
year?
business
And
come from?
what was the ROI on that? And then
Exactly.
what do you want to change or keep your 4 pillars for this upcoming year?
Yeah, I mean, I find that very beneficial.
So we have, Paul, of course, couldn't leave without something of an agenda for us to go through. And
So just read through it and move it on.
yeah, well, it's gonna fill the hour.
Yeah. I mean, it's really good what he did, because a lot of it's the same stuff that we wanted to talk about anyways. He just kind of laid it out so we can actually somewhat be organized a little
Right.
bit.
Yeah, so I think, because this is all, we're right in line with what we already have planned, which just like makes me so happy.
Mhm.
But we want to make sure we hit everything, and I want to encourage everyone on Zoom to jump in.
Please do.
So should we start with?
Yep.
With what you created, yeah.
Well, because I already did the first one. What subjects do you want us to discuss?
Is there any more feedback from anybody on Zoom or anyone else? What subjects do you want?
I think, although, I'm kind of a numbers person, I've learned how it really does benefit you. I know that they aren't fun and it's not comfortable and it's hard to focus that far in the future, but I think that it's just like your goal, your why, you know, like you have, how do you know what you need to do besides just doing, which most people just, you know, this is what I'm gonna do today and it's on my calendar, I'm gonna write 5 thank you notes every day. But what's your goal? What, you know, you kind of need to know what your goals are. And then breaking it down into those littler things, so it's not such a big overwhelming thing. So I do think that numbers are still important, just not having to harp on them and having all of that all at once and then focusing on that for 5 hours is a lot.
Agreed. That's good feedback.
So Paul wanted this first topic is actually on mindset. We'll go there because we all know that we're kind of talking about it anyways, getting our minds wrapped around everything that's in here. I don't know how to definitely necessarily put these into questions, but time blocking morning mindset routines.
Would that be healthy?
Yes.
Or
Helpful.
Helpful. Helpful to you to talk about that, like morning mindset. Something we've heard a little bit from Rick. I know anytime Sherry jumps in, she loves to talk about that. Would that be something that would be helpful? Do you think it's something that is needed?
With
Sure.
sorry.
Go ahead.
With the mentors, we've been talking about setting up calendars and stuff, and I really think it's important that you put aside time for yourself, however you do that. And then that's non-negotiable. So if you need to go for a run every morning or exercise, God bless you. I'm not gonna do that, you know, but I really think that it's important that you do. Health is super important because you can't do anything else if you're not healthy. So somewhere, yes. Everybody's different if they would want to put that in their schedule or not, you know, wake up and say, I'm amazing 5 times out loud. I'm not that kind of a person, but some people are.
Right.
Totally agree with that. However, my 2 cents on it, and again, just my 2 cents. I don't feel that we need to spend time in business planning talking about mindset. Because I think it is so personal for everyone. We know you have to do it. We have an abundance of training here. And so I personally don't think we need to spend time talking about it, like, at all. It's like, you know, it should be on your business plan and in your daily routine, but I don't think we need more education on it.
That's interesting, because when Jane talked about, she gets overwhelmed because what ifs, that's where I immediately go to mindset. If we focus and we start a foundation of that, life happens regardless. If we want it to run rotten, so I guess coming forward of, I'm not gonna make my numbers based on what if things happen or not, it's just, this is what my goals are and that's how I'm gonna achieve them. Yes.
Well, and you know, I'm gonna follow up on you too. I think we do need to add some segment of it, not a very big segment of it, because we do all have to figure out, okay, how do we get our mind wrapped back around the numbers? And when things do change, how do we actually facilitate and work through that change? You know, I don't think we necessarily need to go into like a mindset training type thing, like you're talking about. But
yeah, to touch on it, maybe, 30 minutes max, but yeah,
Or maybe if people want to talk about mindset, come on half an hour earlier. And then that could be their own instrument.
I mean, because I think Paul has a really good topic in here too, a mindset reset,
Yeah.
which I think would be potentially one of the bigger things we could do. How do you reset that mind to actually move on and work through the different changes?
right.
Although,
And could we maybe talk about what that is, but not necessarily, like Terry said, not necessarily go through the training, and then maybe following our business plan session, these topics that require or we think would have value to have more training could be some of the following training sessions that come up in the next couple months.
Right.
So we
Yep.
talk about the importance of mindset, why you need to do it, but not necessarily go into the nitty gritty, how to do it, and different ways to do it.
Well, not even the months, but I think throughout the year, as you guys have seen, we are definitely
Mhm.
shifting. Talking about it in every training,
Right.
in
Yeah.
all of our, everything.
Yeah.
and we are gonna have homework that's gonna be due, like different questions and stuff. We're not gonna take time up. Here's 4 minutes for you to fill out this question while we wait and then we discuss it. So this could definitely be something that you come up with your 5 things that you want to work on in the next year regarding your mindset or your non-negotiables of your each day.
Yep.
So that could be stuff that's definitely done beforehand that then you have prepared. for
Yeah,
this.
everybody that signs up and registers for this is going to have a booklet to fill out before coming to the day.
Right, yeah.
That's
So-
awesome. And I think like Jackie just did a great class on that, so it's like, it's there.
I'm with you. I can't see spending an hour on it because we do kind of get it in every platform. But I think it's, especially for business planning, I can see where the opening is a lot about mindset, because you do have to kind of be in the right mindset to business plan, because otherwise you're there and you're like, yeah, this isn't for me anyway.
Mhm.
You know, I mean,
Yep.
it is like, I know Sherry does Miracle Morning. It's not for me. I'm not
Right.
getting up earlier, people, and so, but that's not for everybody. So I can see spending a portion of time on just the broad aspect of mindset.
Okay.
To get in the right frame of mind, especially for the day, because I think that business planning can be overwhelming. And as soon as, and just even that, like, these topics that we're gonna do today aren't gonna be for everybody, but they're all
But you
part
can
of the
also find
process.
any nugget and
Yes.
anything that you
Yes.
learn, and I think
Yeah.
that's just where. Because I'm so diving deep into everything right now, I can never learn enough, like, I just wanna be a sponge about everything, and. I read everything all day long about mindset, and I still want to learn more,
Yeah.
so I think that's just where. if we talk about a topic that maybe for 20 minutes isn't about you specifically, you can still gain something out of it if you're open-minded.
Well, and you can get, if you can get one thing out of any, out of every 20-minute training that we do, or 30-minute, or even 45 minutes. It's valuable.
You're winning.
So I think that like
Yeah.
overarching view of mindset. Just to be in the right mindset for the day, and that, mindset is important, and maybe touch on a little bit of routine, I think is good. I'm with you, an hour, it's too long.
Well, yeah,
You know, to maybe layer in with the mindset, maybe have a little chunk of personal accountability. You know, we talk about accountability groups and all that, but ultimately, like your goals and all that, in your why, which is always challenging to put on paper in a sentence, but it comes down to your personal accountability to yourself. And so, I don't know if that can be woven in mindset.
Well, so how about this? I mean, along with mindset, because I'm hearing pretty much everybody that's contributing here saying that super important, everybody understands that, maybe a broad overview, but we don't need to spend a lot of time on it because we're doing it all the time.
Yeah.
So along with that is healthy lifestyle, positivity, books and podcasts. I mean, do you see, just as we were sitting here thinking, I was thinking, wouldn't it be fun to do like a subgroup on our family page on sharing, podcasts or books or anything? Because we hear Rick always is like mentioning a book, and I know a lot of people are writing it down, but maybe there's a different format to share some of this that's not on the business planning day. Thoughts about that?
Because for some people, it's
Yeah.
super main.
Interested? Right.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Sorry. Whoever was speaking can go. I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're good.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think that for me, at least, every time I've joined a Rick meeting, it's honestly been a shift in the mindset. It's fun. It gets you thinking about something that you could be doing differently. And that's basically what mindset is. You're changing where you are and what you're doing to see a different outcome in the future. I mean, I know that everybody can get caught in routine and get comfortable, but you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that means changing your mindset almost every week, because people are changing, things are changing every single week. So, I mean, you have to be on top of what's going on with everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Tristan actually sent me a meditation from YouTube that I really love. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing, I think we're doing it personally, like one-on-one, but maybe not as a group. Kathy?
Yeah, I like that idea. I think that almost like a library, or not a library necessarily, but we're always talking about podcasts. And like you said, we're always trying to write them down. We're always trying to write books down. But if we had a go-to spot
Mhm.
that you could just, say, hey, I got time, 30 minutes today to do a podcast, that'd be very helpful.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
So I think the
Health
next
and
one,
inspiration is fun.
Anybody else have anything to add about mindset? I'm gonna keep this going so we stay on track. Sorry. Yeah, really good stuff.
lead generation is another topic we talk about a lot. Would you guys want that to be involved with the business planning day? And like, when I talk about lead generation, not just an actual like lead generation training, but like different topics within lead generation. How do you do it? How do you get started with it? Let me hear your feedback on that stuff.
I would think it would be better to, sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
At least have everyone personally be defining what their, or resources or ways to lead generate are. I mean, but that's gonna be different for
Well,
everybody.
yeah, everybody's gonna have different ways to
Right.
lead gen. So I mean, we all prospect different ways. And there is no right or wrong way to do it. I mean, definitely Jackie and I, we have completely different styles of lead generation. So, I mean, you can go around everybody in the room and on Zoom, we all have different ways of doing it. So, are there different
Let's let
topics?
Andy speak
Yeah.
up. She was gonna say something.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I think lead gen, it almost is like synonymous with business planning, right? Because that's where business comes from. So we have to have that included, I would think. And maybe not so much, like you said, spending an hour talking about different types, but having some maybe buckets of different ways to lead gen, so people can get some synergy going with some, no pun intended, with some different ideas or something they haven't thought of. And then taking it to the next step. Okay, well, if you're really serious about this, lead that into time blocking. And how are you going to time block that? Or is your goal going to be having X number of conversations, or is it going to be spending X number of hours per day on lead gen? I mean, you know what I mean? Just kind of tweaking how people can look at that in their business planning. But I would think that that would be a big part of it.
Yeah, I think one area I have trouble with lead gen is staying focused and being consistent. That's my biggest challenge. And as many things as I've tried, I always seem to drift off and go do something. And if there's a way for I don't know if there's, you could train somebody, but if there's a different tool that a person could use to keep people on track, yeah. Sure.
An accountability partner or group, or just, I mean, even
Yeah,
Dave, you
very
coming to me and saying, hey, Dave, keep me on track with this. And then me just cracking the whip and saying, hey, Dave, what'd you do today?
Had some coffee this morning.
I think there's some pertinent questions that somebody could lead the group through in defining your four, I call them funnels, not pillars, but same thing. I think people in our industry are very like, oh, I want to try this, and oh, I want to try this, oh, I want to try this. And I think it helps you keep organized if you know your four pillars, right? Like if one is your sphere, one's your past clients, one might be your investors, one might be then your church, right? It's like, but I think people don't know, at least when I help people through that process, people don't think that way, right? They're like, I don't know what my four, I don't know, what are my four? I want a farm. Oh, I want this. I think there's somebody could lead a discussion on defining your four pillars, because then those four pillars or funnels or whatever, they lead to your lead gen, right? Because you're going to lead gen differently if you're only focusing on your sphere versus, oh, I work with investors, or I work with my townhome community, right? Your funnel, you're going to market to your one funnel way different than I'm going to market to my hockey people, right? And so if you can lead the discussion to help people define their 3 or 4 funnels, that's going to lead to then how do you lead generate, because you're going to lead generate different to each of those funnels, right?
Each one of those funnels is going to be different. I mean, you have to interact with them completely different than anything else.
But I think for some, especially new agents, it's hard to find those funnels.
Yep.
It's hard to really define those funnels. They're like, I don't know, what are they? Oh,
It's hard for
canceled
experienced
expireds,
agents to figure it out.
you know,
too.
canceled expired, farm. I mean, it's those boilerplate ones, but really if you kind of dig deep, there's questions that you can kind of guide people to go, oh, I really want to work with seniors, right? And so there has to be some thought-provoking questions there to where are your people? Where is your niche? Where is your strength? Like for us, our strength is our community, right? So we use that to our advantage. So I think, but you have to get to that point. You have to ask people and questions to draw them to, oh, I guess I'm really involved in this area. That could be a funnel. Or I really love dealing with seniors. That could be a funnel. I don't think you just one day go, oh, I want to work with seniors. Like you have to get to that point. So I think there could be a section of time to lead people to figure out their funnels, because then that's going to lead to lead gen, in my opinion.
And then when you figure out what you're good at and what you are comfortable with, obviously if you're uncomfortable with things, you can also plan those, but then you can say from 9 to 10 o'clock, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, this, I'm focusing on my townhome people. Because that's your.
Oh, and then that
focus
leads
area.
to tasks, which is what we kind of all think it should, so I think all of that kind of flows right there, is that once you can define your 4 funnels or 3 funnels or whatever, then you can set your goals and then set your marketing plan and decide time blocking, how you're gonna lead. I think all that kind of flows, but a lot of people can't get to that even defining what they're.
So I'm
For
hearing that maybe
things
we
are-
need a deep dive into the lead gen and the types and
I think also figuring out who's good, who's really good, who's really laser focused on what they do. Then for people that want to think about maybe doing that themselves, then they have that person to go to. You know, because maybe they don't know that you do just townhome stuff. So maybe someone lives in a townhome, so they want to talk to you about that.
Okay. I think there's also value in kind of, you know, all of this is so connected to the other parts of it, but also along those lines, to have people really spend time either before or during, but probably better before, and maybe fine tuning during. What is their value proposition, and not being everything to everyone, which we always hear is like, it's really hard to kind of give that up, and not that you're giving it up, but you have to have a focus on what sets you apart. And I think it's challenging to figure that out, but I don't know that there's often time dedicated enough and kind of that gentle push to figure that out, whether you're 24 or 30 or doing this part-time or not, you know. Where are you focused? I mean, again, I guess it gets down to funnels, but it's kind of a lot of that soul searching. What do you want your business to look like? Or
Basically finding your why.
the why.
It-
or like-
And I,
Yes.
sorry,
Yes.
go ahead. Sorry, Terry. I was just gonna say too, that I like the idea of having these booklets ahead of time so we can put the time in. So it's on us to show up laser focused and ready because we've done some of this soul searching ahead of time. Because then when you hear another idea, you can tweak your funnel or your pillar accordingly, but you're not starting from scratch, because that just holds everybody up, or there are people that aren't prepared come and while we're moving through, get lost because they weren't prepared. They're not getting as much out of it as they could. And it will send the trajectory of the goal planning or the meeting business planning, I think, in a good direction if everybody can come more prepared. I just like the idea of that coming ahead of time and spending time doing that searching.
Well, just like with anything, you get out of it what you put into it. So I mean, definitely doing the work beforehand is going to help everybody focus on the task at hand and being able to really develop their own personal business plans that day.
But I think to Jackie's point, maybe doing a little bit of a deeper dive than
Mhm.
we've done before on, you know, discussing what those can be and asking yourself those questions. And again, you know, it can still be a work in progress. I mean, if, you know, I think of like you choosing your 4 pillars versus Jenny, who just started, you know, it's probably a little more overwhelming for you because you don't know your niche yet. You know probably what you're good at, but we're gonna ask some very important, we're gonna do that homework and ask some important questions, but it's okay if you shift as you start to sell, right? It's totally okay, and you will. You know, I'm sure you didn't know you were gonna love working with, you know, the senior population at first, right?
Right.
That came later.
But like, no, refresh my memory, are you a hairstylist? Yeah, so like, okay, that's.
That's a
huge,
pillar.
Yeah.
right? That's a
Right.
pillar.
For
And
people,
so
yes.
I think, you know, to also kind of nurture and educate those that are newer into the business, that's a pillar, or basketball is a pillar, or, you know, so wherever you are in your business, to help us figure that out for you and at least have, okay, how does that hairstyle greatness that is so foreign to all of us, how does that set you apart, you know, and how can you run down that path to build up that pillar, so.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. I think that we haven't done maybe a really good job of that in the past with our business planning. We've asked the questions kind of maybe during the business planning, and it can be really difficult to answer those. And, you know, the 4 minutes,
Mhm.
write your answer down is like 4 minutes to plan
Yeah.
for the next year. That's a tough thing. The homework's gonna be really key. Because if you do the homework, I think we can do the deep dive that we're all kind of craving.
Kinda
and
looking
thinking
for.
We need, yeah. So ideas for lead gen, like what lead gen ideas do you guys have? Like, what do you think is really important to hit on?
Different styles, different things, again.
I don't know, I feel like it's been beaten to death.
Mhm.
Yeah.
we have had a lot of training
Yeah.
on that, so.
You just
maybe-
have to
maybe
do
people
it. That's
come
part of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With the, maybe people come with at least 8 things that they'd like to do, and then that time could be spent narrowing it down or something.
Or if someone has an idea or like a premise, but they don't know how to implement that,
Mhm.
then we could all mastermind it together.
Would it be helpful to hear from agents in the office that have mastered some of those lead gen ideas?
What successful ones have worked.
Yeah.
You know, what's really worked for people.
Yeah.
Versus throwing mud at the wall and trying to find something that works, but what is working for others? That they've actually gotten good response, not just
Right.
one here, one there. Is something that's really been successful.
Like an hour of that. Like again, beat the dead horse, like.
Okay.
Well, and I'm gonna agree with you. I think the more time we can spend on that, because that's going to be really, this is how we get to the numbers of where we want to be at. I mean, this is taking that first step and going, okay, this is what we need to do to actually get to where we want to be. So,
Like Jesse said on the agent panel, it should literally be the number one thing that you are doing.
Yeah,
If you're not doing anything, you should be doing that, if that's simple.
yeah. Yep. So. Do we think it's important to talk about accountability, time blocking?
I like the word scheduling, like Jackie uses.
Yes.
Scheduling.
He's been
Time
beat
blocking gives
Yeah.
me sense.
Over and over.
But to your point, you're the one who said it, you don't do it, right? You said it, I mean,
If you change the word, he'll do it.
And I can tell you this, I never will.
right,
That is just not
It's
me.
just, yeah.
I am a go with the flow person, and I'm not gonna be looking at my calendar every day going, oh, at 8 o'clock, I gotta do this, 9 o'clock, I gotta do this.
I will say my best year in real estate was when I was here 9 to noon, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, lead Jenny the whole team. And I knew that I could not book showings, I couldn't book a doctor's appointment, anything during those times. And it works, like, but I have my afternoons that were negotiables, and obviously things come up and stuff, but that time blocking really was a key to everything else that fell into place.
how about like an over, like a year, like sort of time block, like, I mean, a year kind of overview, like we talked about, of like, these are the things that I want to accomplish during the year, and these are the rough timeframes of what I'll be doing, and I mean, would that be helpful?
Yeah.
And it is important, because you are more of a numbers guy, I want to hear how that would help you.
And I do that quarterly.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
I can do things weekly, but I'm not gonna do things by the hour. You know, cause there's just days where I get up and like, I just really don't wanna do anything.
Okay,
Or around lunchtime, I'm like, I'm just gonna stop and get away from all this stuff.
I'm totally with you on that. I can't schedule myself hour by hour. I just cannot, I don't stick to it. It is a complete failure to me if I even try to do it, because I just can't wrap my brain around that. I need weekly goals and I need quarterly goals, and I need to review them to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to, but I can't go hour to hour. So I think it's still really important to time block per se, but not, for me at least, not on an hour by hour basis. You have to do what you're gonna be successful at, and if you just set yourself up for failure, you're just gonna say, forget it, and you're just not gonna do it.
I think our frustration is we're just saying that people aren't doing anything.
Right.
They're coming 1 or 2 days, 1 or 2 hours a week, and then they're complaining why they're not doing business.
Right,
So that's where looking at it as overly starting with a weekly deal.
right.
I commit to 2 hours of whatever this is between the 5 days of the week.
Yeah.
And then just
That's
starting.
That's
with
exactly
that.
what I mean. That's
Yeah.
exactly right, Eamon. And sometimes I'm really good in the morning and I got a lot of energy and I'm gonna get these tasks done, and other days it's the middle of the afternoon. And a lot of it goes with your mindset and where you're at that day. And so, but you still have to. And I know for me to get anything accomplished, I have to come into the office. I share, I learn things. If I sit home, I could talk myself out of it. So it just whatever works for you, but you have to
do something.
you have to
Yeah.
do something.
Well, and I think, I mean, you all heard me preach it. I just think you have to have a plan. So
Yeah.
whether that's, I'm gonna mail out this in September,
yeah,
right? I'm gonna mail out this in September.
Right,
I'm gonna have a newsletter printed in October. I'm gonna mail Christmas cards in December. I mean, personally, I think you don't have to think of time blocking as hour by hour, because
Right.
I'm with you there. I can't, it gives me anxiety. think, I know my business will be better, but I just can't, but I can focus on, okay, this week we have to do these 5 things. This week we have to do, and we sit down and do that for the whole year, which yes, it's overwhelming and yes, it changes and we don't always stick to it, but it helps. So I think like, even if it's that, even if it's the overarching, like, here are things that you can plan for the next 3 months, 6 months, a year, or here's how you can time block, right? You should be putting in X amount of hours to lead gen. You pick, you want to do all 5 hours in one day, great. If you want to break it up and do that, you're doing 1 hour of connecting with people a day, however that might be, or maybe it's a goal of connections. Maybe it's, I want to make 10 connections this week.
And to
Right,
that,
Maybe it's
so-
quarterly.
if you do
Right.
that,
I want to have 50 people in my database this quarter, right? You just have to make sure you're
But I
not
also
waiting until
think-
last quarter.
Everybody needs to go into this business planning with the mindset and the commitments.
And
That,
discipline.
and the discipline
Yeah.
that we're gonna stretch ourselves a little further.
Mhm.
Don't we all wanna sell more,
Mhm.
the same or more? So maybe not everybody does, and that's okay too. I always tell Paul that, that's okay too. It really is. We love the agents that wanna sell 2 or 3 too. That's great. If that's what they want to hit their goals, then we're gonna celebrate them too. But we all, I think, have to switch our mindset just a little bit. Like, if you're comfortable with quarterly, I'm gonna say right now, I would challenge you with monthly goals. Try to get yourself to monthly. You don't have to, but I think we all need to have that mindset of, I'm gonna stretch a little bit more. I'm
I
gonna
think
do
it's the
it.
discipline. I think it's the discipline and the mindset.
It is. Jackie, they plan out the whole year, but every Monday, they get together for an hour or however long it takes to figure out what they're gonna accomplish that week. So even though everything's in black and white for the year, it's still every week being reviewed and making sure the tasks are getting accomplished. So it's never ending.
and I think with them, you guys have accountability in that. That's
Mhm.
like the huge part of it. It's not just personal responsibility. You have other people on the team that are gonna hold you accountable for that. So that's however you want to do it, if it's hourly, minute scheduling, if it's
Mhm.
whatever, but I do think that along with the quarterly thing, when we get together to look at the business goals quarterly. So if you decided to do it weekly or monthly, did you stick to that? Because if you didn't stick to that, it won't work.
And that's what we want to help with is when you say, I'm gonna send out a newsletter in October, we don't want it to be the 31st of October, and you're like, I need to send out my
Yes,
newsletter.
exactly.
We want that, that's why it's about the full scheduling of, here's your broad overview, but how can we help you dumb it down, make it achievable?
Because business takes over, right? And so if you don't have a plan, then when you do get busy, that's why we go like this. Is because you work really, really hard on your business and then you get really, really busy in your business. And then guess what? You close all those deals and you're like, oh crap, I didn't do anything for the last 2 months because I didn't have a plan. So if you have a plan, at least you are busy with business and go, oh crap, I have to get that newsletter out. Even if it's one thing, you just have to have a plan, but whether it's quarterly, monthly, weekly, I mean, I'm for all. I think you need to have weekly, quarterly, monthly, personally.
Hey, can I just interrupt quick? We're kind of getting in the details of what we might be talking about in the session, it feels like. And I'm assuming we have more topics to go over. One question I had just on the overall structure of our business planning, as we go through different topics such as lead generation, and we hear some different ways of, doing it, things that hopefully will stretch us. Are we going to build in time into our schedule? Like, I don't know, let's say that lead generation is an hour. Are we going to give each other then like 10 minutes? Okay, go back to your plan that you came to this session with and make any adjustments based on what you just heard. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's important too, because if we all walk away from this day and we just get all busy again, like I'm hoping to walk away with my 90% finalized business plan for next year versus now I got to go take some time next week, to think more about it. So that would just be one of my suggestions.
Yeah,
And having breakout
Breakouts for
sessions after
breakouts.
every major topic, so that would be the perfect example.
Great.
of break-
So we have.
Great.
accounted for- Yeah,
Sorry, Jenny was.
Oh,
Yeah, that's okay. So I was just saying as a new agent, like the newsletters and things that you guys do monthly. So like, I feel like I'm coming to these things and taking all the information in, but now I don't know what to do with it. You know what I mean? Like, what do you do in a newsletter? Like, what are you sending out?
Add to that because that's a really good point that you bring and it's not an easy answer.
Right.
Because you're gonna need to figure out what you're good at and what you will accomplish or what's just too daunting for you, and it's so hard to know. That's the hardest thing when you come into this industry, because there's gonna be people throwing so many things at you, and it's so hard to know what works and what doesn't. And it's just gonna be trial and error.
Yep, we want to do it.
And you have, once you define your people, then that becomes more
Yeah,
apparent.
so like right now,
And-
I'm just working on like my list of people, getting
Right.
addresses, you know, so then I can start.
But also like what resonates for you, like of all the things you've heard, and you've heard a lot, you know, and you were at the agent panel.
Right.
Like, I think it's okay for you to just choose. I think you said just pick one and stick with it. To just choose.
Right.
What resonates with you, what seems to you like, I think I can do this, this seems like me, you know, this will work, and then build it from there, and then we'll help you. You've got, you know, a mentor, you've got all these
Right.
people to help you adjust.
And Jenny, I mean, we're gonna be going over this stuff in boot camp
Yes.
on Monday.
I feel like
And what I'm, yeah, and what I'm gonna tell you there is, even though I'm gonna throw a whole bunch of different things at you, different ideas at you, pick one. Start with one.
Admin and staff are always available one-on-one,
Yeah.
always, for anyone.
Yeah, it's a matter of picking that one, getting good at that one, and then adding something else in. I mean, we have so many people in this industry throwing new shiny stuff at us every single day. I mean, I had 3 phone calls today already for different lead gen stuff of, hey, why don't you pay me $400 this month to like do all these things? I mean, we get those phone calls all the time.
Spend all of
Yes, exactly.
this business planning stuff, okay, so then how does that work? You guys meet again and talk about like. What do you mean? Well, just like all the stuff that you're adding to your list and stuff, then do you all get together again?
Yeah, it's a
talk
day.
about it?
It's a day.
It's a day, okay.
Yeah, so this is for us, for staff, because we're building the business planning day. It's gonna be November 16th.
That's
Offsite.
perfect.
Yes, so we're building the day, and this is our, like, this is the feedback that we're gonna build into the day, so that's
It'll
what
be a
we're
really
doing
good
here.
day. for you.
We
Yes.
want to create
Good.
this day to be about you.
Right.
And how you're going to help build your business the best way that you possibly can. That, we don't matter. Our ideas don't matter. It's what you do. So,
So that, yeah, that day's gonna be really important, and to Kim's point, we're hoping that most people are gonna be able to walk away with a business plan that's 90% set. With some time for follow-up, which we've
Mhm.
also thought ahead about too, so. Even some immediate classes right after where we can kind of take a look and fine tune on some of those things, so we're really trying to look at this whole process and think about all the things that we've seen in the past that maybe everybody needs. So. Anybody else have any ideas on lead gen? Sounds to me like it's a pretty important piece.
yes.
Okay. Moving on.
All right. I don't know what he means by healthy habits.
Well, let's look at what he's saying. Yeah, I know, but he did a whole separate.
But yeah,
section,
which,
so-
I mean, healthy habits fits into everything else we've been talking about.
It's a little different though, because the way he's got it written here, it's a little different than mindset in the sense that it's more like lifestyle choices, weight loss, healthy eating, exercise, changing and adjusting your circle of friends. Is that this whole topic something that you think is important for a business planning day? A little different than mindset.
No.
No, it's important, but maybe not for business planning. Okay. So we're gonna hear
Anybody
from
on Zoom?
Jill? All right. Okay, and then I just go pass right by.
Yeah, and I agree. And I mean, this was gonna be one of my favorites, knowledge enrichments. Do you think we should need, obviously, we've talked about lead gen and everything else, but wanting to know what type of topics you guys really want us to also add in here, you know, classes, mastermind content ideas, any outside off-site training, mentoring, networking opportunities, continue to add subjects. I mean, we've been trying to do CE classes at least once a month right now. And then quarterly goal setting check-ins. I mean, how important is that to you to have as part of business planning?
One thing that I would love to see is that if you in your business, buyer's agent or listing agent, when you have a difficult situation that you overcame, put it on Facebook so everyone else can learn from it.
I like that, because we all do learn from each other,
Yes.
and we
I
have to.
mean, I talked to Paul about that too. I mean, I know his stuff's a little bit different because it's, you know, brokerage related, but still, like, when you have to go to a broker, especially to fix something, I would love to know what the issue was and how you fixed it, what the options were. Because the chances that you're gonna get into one of those positions someday, you know,
Or
to have that knowledge is huge.
Mhm.
or even sharing that at a synergy meeting. Because
Mhm.
not everyone's gonna go out there and read Facebook all the time.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
everyone's gonna.
So,
synergy
Yeah,
either.
it's.
Right.
Can you
Right.
throw that out to make girls on
Yes, please.
a quick video and then have it on a private YouTube channel and then with a topic like septic issues for those or things, I don't know, just a quick. Just thinking out
Something,
loud.
just do.
I
it.
like that idea. And Paul does those little videos every week or whatever when he sends out that newsletter thing. Maybe
Yeah.
that would be a spot. And then you get that when you're in the office and you're talking with colleagues, and say, oh my gosh, I just ran into this thing with this divorce or whatever. And you kind of learn that way, but it's only a couple people that happen to be there at the time. So I love that idea of putting it on Facebook or video or something else.
Put it out there, however you do it.
Yeah.
Yep, we need a war room channel in the Facebook.
Yeah, that'd be great.
David, are you asking if we think that it's important to discuss that at the business planning? Can you like rephrase what you're asking?
So, yeah, I don't think we need to discuss different topics of trainings during business planning.
Okay,
It's more or less, what other educational topics do you want involved with business
business
planning?
plan, okay.
Yeah.
What else do we want to talk about at business?
Mhm.
Yeah, any knowledge enrichment,
Yeah.
anything
Yes.
that's gonna help, you know,
Got it.
for business planning. Based on what Paul has here, and you have to remember, this is Paul's sheet that we're
Yeah.
working off of. It does appear that he's looking for ideas for offsite stuff too, and for trainings here too, but let's differentiate between the
Mhm.
two.
But let's keep this business planning focused. What topics of education would you like to have built into business planning?
Okay.
Maybe centered around, being able to lead back to those tasks that you want to implement to help you achieve your business plan.
Yeah, I think just that basic setting a goal and then having that plan and how everything filters up and builds on that. I mean, those are just kind of basic business plan things, but I think that would be good for everyone to be level set on.
Okay.
Paul kind of did that with his numbers, but I think you need to do that with other items too.
Tasks,
Yeah.
kind of like we were talking about at the beginning, maybe.
Yeah, like I'm in one of my business plan, I might be, doing more communications. Well, what does that mean? And what things need to happen in order for that? Maybe I need to take classes, maybe I need to do this. And you kind of build up what that looks like, and then you put it in your calendar and figure out when you're going to get that done.
Well, and maybe ways to like different ways that you can set goals. And I think sometimes when people.
Yeah.
Like when I hear somebody said I have to set goals, my mind immediately goes to numbers and volume.
Right.
But maybe that's a topic of discussion of like, your goals don't, like, yes, you should have probably a number or a transaction or whatever, some kind of goal like that. But maybe like, there's lots of different ways that you can set goals, and what does a goal, are you gonna go back to the theory of like big, audacious, hairy, whatever?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like goal, like just a overarching, like what is goal setting and what can it look like? You might be a person that says, I want to make 50 connections a week. Well, that is a goal, but I think it's very industry specific that when you set goals, it's transactional or volume.
Mhm.
And so maybe just something about what setting goals looks like it has to be specific. It has to have a measurement, right? You can't just say, I wanna, whatever, or maybe the goal is, I wanna come in the office, or, you know what I mean? Maybe.
Well, yeah,
something-
so I actually wrote down types of goals.
Yeah.
Because there are more goals than just numeric. There are more goals than just, this is what we want to do type thing. I know for me, one of the biggest things that I did when I started doing goal setting was actually looking at, okay, this is what I must have for me and my family to survive. Then stretching it a little bit more, and this is what I'd like to have. And then stretching it into the push it goal would be, okay, this is what I really want. So it's you being able to back into different goals that way. And then I think from those numbers, we are able to back into, okay, what are the other little minor goals that you want to set based off of these other goals?
Well, beyond that, because I know, and I think that's part of what he was trying to get at here, is what are your other goals? Like, I know this year my goal was to finally get my broker's license. I needed to do it, right?
Yay.
So, yeah, so I did it and I did it very much in secret because I just didn't want, I don't know. But getting your Wisconsin license, is it getting a designation? Is it, you know, do I want to push myself in some area? I think that's a really, do we want those types of goals included? Because it's still
Yeah.
business related,
Mhm.
included in this, and I think that's kind of where he's going to, like, you know, do I want to push myself within real estate?
I also wrote down, and how are you gonna remind yourself, like, you want to put up a whiteboard, carry around a journal, I put mine on post-it notes on my mirror that I get ready at, like, how do you want to remind yourself of these goals every day then once you've made them? And that's about the discipline and consistency with it.
And accountability, right? I'm gonna be in that piece too. I just think, yeah, I mean, I think everybody kind of measures goals differently, and I think, I know in the past, you know, we've gone over like setting a family goal, setting a faith goal, setting a
Right.
fitness goal. I just think just the broad spectrum of like how to set goals for one, and what does that look like? And then now you set a goal, now what?
And why do you set the goals?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of talk about, you need to know your one why, and I'm like, what, why?
But what I'm hearing from everybody is we don't want as much of the family, the faith, the blah, 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 like, let's focus in on
Personal.
business, it's personal, we can do it, and I think that's really interesting, good feedback for us.
I don't think that's a bad piece though to have in the booklet.
Like as the homework to come with.
Yes.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah, because that's the stuff where like, I want to sit by myself. go
Yes.
through it myself, not trying to, what other goals do I think other people want me to have in this big
Yeah.
room? That could totally be the homework. to
Cause
come
I do
with
think
it.
that feeds into your business, right?
Yes,
I mean, I
it's
do
all
feel
tied.
like that's all tied in, but I don't know that we have to like go around the room and share our
Yes.
17 goals. But I can see that being a part of the book, though, is like having a page on some of that. Whatever you just said before that, Lynn,
Knowledge enrichment, or
no, the one topic before that, on the paper. What was Paul's
Like
topic?
healthy
before?
habits.
Healthy habits, you know, some of those kind of things like faith, fitness, family, like all that I feel like can be a page in that book, but
And we're all on the same page as three about getting rid of the fluff. We're not gonna be.
Yeah.
all in on
Yeah.
What's your opinion? It just. That's like the fluff. So that's
Yep.
why this business planning is gonna be so much different because we're getting rid of all those little fillers.
Which is also gonna be why it's so important to fill everything out.
you know, I
It's
think
getting
that's a
very
good
intentional.
asset.
Yeah.
And then all open ears, if you wanna come and sit and tell me all of your goals, I love to hear them.
We
You
love
don't need to
them.
have everything write them too, you know,
You know,
so.
I'm so glad you said
Yeah.
that, Amy, that you read my mind, because I don't think that listening to what people did last year and what they want to do this year serves anybody any good.
No,
It-
You
it's-
compare yourself and then you
Yep.
can get down on
Exactly,
yourself.
it's so inflating to all of us,
Yeah.
and it's like that, yeah. totally.
You know what? One thing polar opposite to the fluff, Dave, you hit on something that I think is really important to include in business planning. Knowing what your bare minimum is for the year, especially for new agents who are maybe looking at their first full year. How much do you want to make? I don't know. How much do you need to make? I don't know. Really drilling down to, you know, pointing out that you need to consider, what do you spend on gas? What is realistic entertainment money for you? What is your rent? What is you know what I mean? I think that's, for me, that's a big part of business planning, is going, okay, here's the bare minimum I need to make. And like what you said, here's a next step up goal, and here's a shoot for the moon goal. But I think really walking people through, making sure they're understanding here, don't forget, you have to cover health insurance, and don't forget about taxes. So I think that's an important piece, I guess, on the boring polar opposite side of fluff, is the reality check of market's crazy. What do we need to be able to pay the bills?
Okay, I like that.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other thoughts?
Your health is important, don't forget.
It is,
Mhm.
yes.
Get your mammograms.
I think it's really great that we're looking at this from a broader, different perspective too, because we all don't learn
It's the same.
the same way, and it has been a challenge when it's heavy in one of these areas, you know. so-
Well, and we're still gonna need your feedback after this. I'm
Right.
sure there'll be
Oh, yeah.
places that,
Yeah, it's
but
not
you
gonna be
know,
perfect.
it's not, but we really are
What is
excited.
perfect?
I think everything you're saying is just, you know, confirming what we kind of knew already.
Yep.
So this feels really good. The last piece that we're gonna talk about, we're going.
Have to talk about the numbers.
Yeah, so the production planning, so, the subjects that we want to discuss there, so I'm gonna get. Just kind of go over everything he had here, and then you guys can give your 2 cents on what you think we should add. So you're gonna have to know your 2022 business production numbers walking in, that makes sense. Do we want SWOT analysis? Do you want, goal setting details such as number of appointments that you need to, that were met and held, and conversion rates? Do you want to be bringing that to the table? And do you want, like level setting on what that looks like for 2023? Ideas on increasing conversion rates, adding to your database, converting fence sitters, ideas on new business opportunities, and campaigns such as Popeyes events. This is all production planning. So how much of this do we want,
And in what form do you want it?
and in what format?
When you just listed those out, it kind of sounded like our meetings. Like what we talk about, like the Popeyes, we talked about those, and you know, all that list of things that we talk about and.
So I think everybody here understands that you gotta bring your 22 numbers, right? Everyone's okay with that? Okay, so that's gonna be important just to kind of, you know, shape. That's gonna all be in the workbook that we're doing, the work that we're doing ahead of time. Do you find the SWOT analysis helpful?
For those that don't know SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We have not even touched those yet.
Yeah. and it's
As
in
Jenny's like
every-
looking at me like deer in the headlights.
It's in every business planning that we've ever done up to this point. We've spent a kind of what I would consider kind of a lot of time on it. In our business planning and thoughts. I think Terry, you look like you're gonna speak.
I'm trying really hard.
Speak, please.
Down again, no, is this the part where there's like,
The 4 box, no, it's not the numbers.
oh, here and this, and then I gotta
No.
do that.
No, we're not doing.
We're not doing that at all. We've already made that decision. We're doing some numbers, but it's very,
It's gonna be
very.
much different format.
simple.
Okay, that's,
And
but you do have to know though, totally, I think like how much percentage of what you made, or maybe you're starting from ground zero. Should you expect from every closing to go towards advertising, to go through, I mean, that kind of breakdown is to me basic.
Budgeting?
And you need to know that.
I think we should probably add a section in there on budgeting, setting up your budget. How do you set up your budget based on your goals?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think maybe not, I don't know. I think a what worked and what didn't work in
Yeah.
2022 is a better use than the SWOT thing, I guess,
Okay.
personally. I think, you know, what did you do in 2022 that you loved and that worked and that brought you business? And what did you do in 2022 that didn't work? And it's probably the same thing, like the right strength.
Just a different format of it.
Different format.
Yep.
And then maybe and this is probably opportunities and threats, right? It's still probably the same thing of like, okay, what do you want to bring forward to 2023? And what are you gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, what are you gonna take
What
off the
changes
table?
are you gonna
Yep.
make?
Yeah.
Yeah.
SWOT, the SWOT.
And if we have an opportunity to share those experiences, I think that helps all of us to hear that, you know, this really didn't work well at all for somebody, then that's like, okay, I might not consider doing that differently if I have that on my plan.
Are you talking more of a like big group discussion or a breakout? We do have multiple breakout sessions planned, so you guys can talk in small groups.
That's a breakout.
I was
Breakout.
gonna say breakout for that.
I think breakout, yeah.
So for sure, put that in.
So you think breakout sessions?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Cause I mean, there again, you're getting into that big group. You don't want everybody jumping in at once and. Especially if you're new or part-time, you know,
okay.
I think in a small group session breakout.
Yeah,
Okay.
too many
And,
simple, I think.
and again, I think having that in the booklet for us to be expected to have that completed ahead of time. So that you've had time to think about that. So when you're coming there, you're really ready to discuss and go forward.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it. So it is noon, so I'm gonna.
Yep. We will
I don't know.
default to you guys if you want to continue this for a little bit longer, or if you guys have to go, I harp on Paul all the time about time management and
I think this is
respecting everybody
good.
else's time.
I think we could talk about it forever, but I think this is really good.
Is there more topics on the list?
Well, no, this. was
No,
actually
this is the last one.
I pushed us here really
Yep.
quickly, so, I guess final thoughts then on,
Just in general, I think, I mean, different things that we haven't covered that maybe you do want to see in here.
anything we're missing, Jane?
I don't see anything you're missing, but I'm wondering if there's a way or something we can do to get more participation. It worries me that there's only 15 people. And it seems to be par for the course that there's the same 15 people. And although I'm really excited about it, what can we do to get the rest of the 100 agents involved and understand how important this is?
But we are gonna do a whole campaign.
leading?
We're actually like, you like send it out multiple emails that'll probably start.
And videos.
Paul and I actually talked about this yesterday and we want to start it on Friday. I haven't told Amy and David that yet. So we want to start rolling it out Friday. I'm gonna do a separate campaign to everybody that works full-time, challenging them to take the day off and invest in their business for next year.
Good.
Because I think that's, we see a lot of people that work full-time and just don't make it. Like, I think this one day off is really, really important. We're also going to roll this out to a whole list of recruits that I've talked to, people that I'm in discussion with, so there will be, we're gonna invite you guys to bring agents in as well. To do this, I think the cost and what we've got planned is really gonna be worth the, the $49 that we're charging. So any ideas that you have, come to us with that, but we're gonna try to do a whole campaign, like remind everybody multiple times that we've got this going on and really challenge everybody to make the commitment. I think I've talked to quite a few people that aren't sitting here that are planning on doing it.
Good.
I'm so glad that we had the turnout we did, because this was a really important
Mhm.
piece, is hearing from you what you wanted. And we are gonna make some changes to the agenda based on this. I mean, I can already tell you that. So ideas for that, we'll be talking about that in a half hour as well.
But our touches are different than just the standard emails that we've been doing before, like even the flow desk that we're doing, we're gonna utilize that in one suite for getting the word out, videos, text, just different ways for people to be reminded than like a standard email.
Yeah.
I think it's important to get out the word that it's not going to be
The same.
Normal. It's not going to be the same old,
It's not the same.
Because I think that's as we all talked about business planning back in our neck of the things, we were all like, the numbers, and I was like, I don't think it's gonna be that way.
No.
So.
Well, it's just like Summit. We were
yeah.
blown out of the water last year at Summit.
Yeah.
We were pushing everyone to invest in their business, go to that because I'm so confident that this business planning will be like nothing else I've ever been to. So we're all super excited.
But I think when people who have especially been, for me, even cross brokerage, like even throughout every brokerage I've been to, when it's been planning, it's the numbers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, as a veteran agent, I don't need to know my number. I know.
Yeah.
And I set them anyways because we have a team. So like, I don't need to come to one that's gonna be numbers. I think that's really important to get the word out to people that have either come to previous ones or not here, but anywhere. Just that it's not, it's business enrichment. It's not, business enrichment and planning. It's not like. numbers.
and maybe we actually change the name of it instead of calling it business planning.
Because I think it's gonna be so vital to your business, and I think anybody that they're like, I don't need a business plan or whatever, or I don't wanna go over the numbers. I know I need 2 appointments a week. It's been that way forever, right? I mean, I think just to people not to know that that's not what it's gonna be. It's gonna be all these different short little nuggets, not hours upon hours of
And it's
one
not-
person speaking
Right.
or
Actually,
right?
it'd be a
I
fun
think
day.
that,
Yeah.
I think it's really important that people understand what
It is.
it is. Yeah, because I think that's gonna drive participation.
We're
I
gonna
think,
have so much stimulation because of all the different people talking that it like Jackie said, it won't be just one person
Yeah.
sitting there listening, checking their phone type of thing.
And I don't know if it'll help, it'll definitely create more work for you guys, but I think individualized talking to people.
Yes.
Because
It's on the
the
agenda.
mass emails and texts and stuff I ignore.
Yeah.
Like, I know if you can call everybody and talk to them about it personally, I think maybe that would make a difference.
Well,
Well, I think just
Sign myself up for that.
Yep, that's part of the plan.
Yeah.
So,
I think just talking about it as I look at it as a one-day conference. And it's a 2023 Business Enrichment Conference instead of business planning or whatever. I love that it's offsite and I'm looking at it that way, that it's a one-day conference. It's more than just business planning.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, great ideas,
Right.
you guys. Thanks so
Thanks,
much.
everybody.
Well, thank you for asking and thank you for making the change. It's a lot of work for all of you, but it's really nice that you guys are taking the time to do this.
We want all of you guys to have the best possible experience, regardless of where we're at. So we're all about you guys.
Great.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.
You too. Bye.
Thank you.